Bounty Hunters. Life.
Hey, what happened to my intro, man?
Bounty Hunters. Life.
It is not playing.
On the blockchain.
There we go. Hell
Is it
yeah.
working?
Yeah, malfunctioned. I don't know. We had to get the intro going.
I can hear the intro just fine.
All right, double play the intro because it's double awesome.
Do we need to do it one more time or not?
Hey, that's a good idea. I'm hitting it again.
Life on the blockchain.
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, I'm so pumped now. I'm so fucking pumped.
Now we had it 3 times. I'm
Oh,
hyped.
yeah. All right, you better be pumped. Next podcast, I'm going to hit it 3 times. That's a new beginning. All right,
I had it 3 times now.
I'm on the pod here with Riproprip. Is that how we pronounce it?
Yeah, you can pronounce it however you like.
All right, Riproprip, who's the king here, 28th on the Immunefi leaderboard with 1 million buckazoids in earnings, 2 criticals. The Beast, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's kind of humbling to be on your show. I never told you, but I think I kind of owe you a few beers maybe, because the 1 million wouldn't have happened without you, I think.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
Tell me.
no, for real. I think it was the Degachi podcast. You were doing some podcast. I don't know. I can't remember with whom. But you were basically saying it's completely fine to just hunt bugs on your own time, like do bug bounties 100%. You don't need to do contests. And at the time, I was like grinding contests. I was doing okay, but I just didn't feel happy doing that shit. And then when you kind of said that, it was kind of like a permission for me to say, well, why don't I go hunt some bugs in different projects, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so without you, that wouldn't have happened because I would be still grinding contests.
Really?
Yeah,
This is
I'm not kidding you.
Humble Chad success story. I've successfully influenced you to go bug hunting. That's awesome, man.
Yes, and now we can maybe incept some other people who are listening right now to do some bug hunting.
Dude, this is what I hope to hear because as you know, as I know, it's fucking hard, man. I mean, you have the highs and you got the bottom of the barrel under your basement lows where you just don't find shit and you feel like shit. Like, how do you deal with that?
I don't know. I just like looking at code. I like to take some time off. If I don't feel inspired, I'm not going to look at code. I'm going to build stuff. There's lots of stuff in my life to figure out. I can do whatever I want, but sometimes I wake up and I want to look at some code, see if I find some bugs, and then I do that shit. And that's what's making me happy. And
when do you call it
it
quits? Like for the day, when do you say that's fuck it, I'm out. I'm closing the laptop. Nothing's happening today.
Oh boy, I kind of wish my latest bug on Immunefi would be I have no idea if I'm allowed to talk about that. I think it's fair to say it took me a year, something like that, like the 100K. I looked at that code base. I looked at it some more. Maybe I submitted some bugs. I don't know. And one night I woke up and had that what if. I woke up and saying, what if I could do this at that project? And I usually text that stuff to my wife. She doesn't mind waking up with crazy bug hunting ideas.
Get out of here.
Yeah. It's like that.
Does she give you valuable input? Like, what are you expecting as a response?
Well, she's hella smart, but she doesn't give a fuck about InfoSec. So she's basically just a notepad and the reminder, because then in the morning she will go, what the fuck did you send me last night?
Did you check the zero address?
Sorry?
She says, did you check the zero address?
Did you take care of the birthday paradox?
So you bounce it off her, and then I don't know how that works for you, but
it's basically just a notepad because I'm awake in the middle of the night. I want to go back to sleep. I'm a parent. I need my sleep. I just need to write it down somewhere. And usually, my phone these days is just for communicating with my wife, and so it's I just need to unlock my phone, text it in there, go back to sleep, and then the next morning I'm gonna find it, right? And so for me, like you at least need to the code base by heart, right? So there needs to be some kind of point where you can close your eyes, you're standing in the shower, and you can see like the connections. Like I think in graphs, and I think if you do that and have like I don't know, you don't need to be a visual thinker to have some kind of graph representation in your head, right? And if you have that, you can stop looking at the code. I think that's when I let go. Sometimes like I let it sit and rest in my mind for 2-3 months, and then look at it again. Not sure like where the best stop off point is.
Yeah, I this reminds me of when Obrant was on here, and he was saying he took a walk in the mountains and did some mushrooms, and then he came up with this amazing bug. But he's like, you can only come up with that if you have the code base memorized.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's true. Also, like, don't do mushrooms and walk through the mountains. I think I'm not sure. I don't know the guy if it's like gonna end well with everybody.
It could be good. Yeah, it depends on the code base.
Yes, really. Like, imagine you'd like thinking you were thinking about Maker, and then you take some shrooms. Like, maybe
Oh
you're
fuck!
even
No,
like
no, no, no,
completely
no.
losing your language. You're
You
splishing and you're sploshing.
don't do Maker. No, no, no. We don't do that.
Yeah, no, never. Like, don't even look at Maker. Just ignore it until they like rename their stuff. It's like horrible.
So I was looking at your Immunefi protocol. It showed you had, and I know everyone does bugs outside of Immunefi, but it showed you had 2 crits, and we were talking in the chat about your one you made public, I think 2 years ago with Raydium. Is that 2 years
Yeah,
ago?
yeah.
Okay,
They
so
were
that
asking
one,
me to if they can make a write up, and I didn't know enough to tell them no.
yeah, that's weird. Like you didn't even do the write up. The Immunefi team did it for you.
Yeah. I think they wanted to get deeper into the Solana ecosystem, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if they knew that I could have written that. Also, like I'm not sure if I would have like spent the time to do that, to be honest,
Mm.
because this was like the first one. I'm not sure which one they wrote up, but this was basically 2 quick bucks in succession. 500k the first week, and I think the second or the third week, the next 500k. And like then they came back and were saying, "Can we do a write up?" And I didn't know anything, so I just said, "Yeah, sure. Give me the money. I'm
So
gonna shut
Radium
up."
was 500, and then you say 2-3 weeks later you got another 500
Yeah.
on the same protocol.
I'm not sure if
Or
I'm allowed to say
can you
that,
discuss?
but let's say if you divide
If you can,
the
don't worry about it.
if you divide the dollar amount, it's pretty clear where the second buck came from.
Okay. Wow,
Like there were
that's
bug
back to back
hunters.
pretty big.
Yeah, it is. It was really nice. Like the first one was like hitting the lottery, and then the second one was like I don't know, hitting another lottery. I'm not sure. It felt
Do you
wild
still
to me that.
classify as a Europore or not anymore?
Yeah, sure, saved by 7-figure from my government, right?
That's right. That's right.
No, but to be serious, like I don't really like. I don't care about the money. It was just awesome to find the bugs.
Yeah.
For me, like, I'm fairly old. I'm not sure if I qualify as an older gentleman, but I know you're a bit older yourself. And to me, it's like I'm settled in life. Finding the bugs is awesome. The money is awesome too, but like the feeling of finding a critical in a life system is like it's doing it for me. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like I don't know
It,
what you do when you
it
find
lights
one.
up the dopamine receptors, definitely.
Yeah. I
I,
basically
I
go back and play the Dragon Ball theme song. Um, every time I find a bug, I'm ripping it down here.
Dude, I looked up the analytics for the pod, and it says most listeners are 18 to 24, all
Oh, I'm
male,
so jealous
and
of you.
it's very young. Like my audience is very young. I honestly don't know if they listen to it at 1x. It's probably Zoomers like 4x, multitasking, looking for bugs at the same time.
Go as fast
Yeah,
as you possibly can.
but
Don't waste time with us.
yeah, it's all age ranges really. Like, you're not the only guy I know who's not, a super young guy that's hunting bugs. In fact, I was just speaking to him recently about your bug. I forwarded him your the Raydium write up, and I said, "This is I don't know CLM. I pronounce this clam, the
Yeah.
CLMM stuff." Yeah, so he did. I don't know if you read his Kyber write up that
Who was
he
it? Who did you
100
forward?
proof.
Ah, yeah, sure. I
Yeah,
know of
so
him.
he thought the Radium bug was pretty cool, and there's some similarities there. He's just like, yeah, those are so specific, and you do one tiny thing wrong, and then it blows the fuck up.
Yeah. Should we talk about the bug?
Yeah, sure, man. Go
Kind of
ahead.
have
And
like
I and
a
I
learning experience for people.
Yeah, and I put it on. So I launched. Let me show this too. So I launched a Discord for the podcast. It's on the link tree, and I put bug write ups in there, and I just pasted your link, so we have that, and then podcast discussion, all that stuff. So if anyone wants to join there, you could find more. His write up in the bug write ups section. So go ahead, talk about it.
Yeah, sure. So can we assume the 100 proof write up is like known to people? I think 100 proof was on, and like you already. I think you guys talked about the CLLM stuff, right?
Yeah, I think we mentioned it. I don't.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
go back to that episode, guys, if you want to jam to it.
yeah. So if you're hunting right now, you should have looked at Uniswap v2, and after you've had your mind blown, check Uniswap v3 and like cry a bit. At least that's what I did when I checked that thing the first time, because like to me I can't make hands and tails, right? I'm positively retarded. Like I'm not smart. I'm decent, I guess, but like I'm not able to comprehend the Uniswap v3 paper, right? So I look at the math symbols, like I feel a bit woozy. I can't do anything anymore, right? But looking at the code, like then you can maybe figure some stuff out, and then you read the 100 proof write up, right? So and then you figure out that Uniswap v3 is like multiple Uniswap v2s next to each other, and they are delineated by ticks, right? So there's a tick range, and then you figure out after reading the 100 proof write up again and again that like it's somehow related to liquidity. And if you can like cross a tick without kicking in or kicking out the correct amount of liquidity, then Uniswap v3 is done, right? So it's like that's the winning move condition. So and I read those. I like felt like I could reproduce the stuff. Like I understood it well enough, but I never saw like another project having like a big bug bounty for this. And then one day I checked the Immunefi thing, and I saw the Raydium bug, or the Raydium CLMM. And within that, I was like kind of trying make a comparison between the bugs I knew about, or the write ups, and how they did it in Solana, right? And Solana, you guys know, it's Rust based, and the Rust base basically tells you like you can't take the straight solidity. So what's like different between the EVM and the SVM? And there's like remaining accounts. Uh, do we need to talk about the similarities between SVM and EVM?
I'm unaware of it because
All
I don't
right.
look at anything Solana. So go ahead and mention it
Uh,
if you have it ready. If you don't, then don't worry about it.
I'm not sure if anybody is going to be able to follow my thoughts. And like, I kind of think we need to do that. So, can we just
Sure.
assume people know the EVM?
Yes.
Or
Safe assumption.
yeah, perfect. So I guess like there's storage, like the Ketchak stuff. You take an index Ketchak, and then you have like storage that stays on the chain. That's different in SVM land. And in Solana, you kind of need to supply accounts. Um, And when you supply those accounts, you can those are the only things that you can read and write to, right? You need to specify the transaction. This is what I want to read. This is what I want to write. This is, I think you can also say execute, or at least there's some way to not execute, just plain data. And when you do a swap, you need to supply accounts for every tick. And there's basically not a good way, like in the current Solana ecosystem, to supply a bunch of accounts, or at least they didn't used to be, and you could just supply like an array of accounts, and those weren't checked. And now, if you assume you could manipulate the storage of the EVM for the things like liquidity, uh, and then take that with a 100 proof bug, you can maybe possibly see how that worked. I'm like, am I losing you, or am I just rambling?
No. This is good.
Yeah, okay. So basically, you were able to supply your own piece of storage, basically saying this bit here is different than it actually should be, and that's all you needed to cross like a tick boundary, and then it's just following 100 proof.
So he was your primary inspiration for this whole idea.
Yeah, sure. I think it's like if you don't read like prior art, you're doing yourself a disservice. Like you need to read the write-ups. Whenever a live bug happens, you need to like open up the Explorer, check it out, see if you like can actually catch the bug. Then you open up the code, and then you try to put yourself in the mindset of somebody fresh and say, how would I have been able to find that bug? What should my mindset have been?
And did you focus on Rust beforehand?
No, yeah, I wrote it a couple of times. I think uh, like it's more secure. You possibly should write in it. I'm not really good with it, but like I knew enough to read the code. To me, like what like I mentioned, I'm older. Once
Mm-hmm.
you've been through enough programming languages, they're all the same.
And what did you first start on?
My first programming language,
Yeah.
Basic.
I thought you were going to say Pascal.
No. It's like Basic, and then I did some assembly because it was supposedly cooler. So, like, I'm old school that way.
Yeah, that's cool. Assembly was always something I just looked at when I was younger, and I just said, I don't know what the fuck this is talking about. And there were no good resources. It was like go to the library and get a book on it. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I guess like it's like hugely related how close you were in age to like a brother or a relative who had a C64, and then like, did you get a handbook or not?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah, I
that's
had
all you
nothing.
need to know to program a machine. And like luckily enough, like one of my best friends' bigger brother had access to a machine, and like at night we could sneak in there and try stuff.
Oh, that's cool, man. At least you had access. Like, I mean, nowadays I think we take it for granted because everyone has a computer, everyone has the internet, everyone has now they have LLMs. But I mean, my God, the ease of learning things has gone down significantly, so significantly that it's hard to even compare my childhood with a kid's childhood now. Except, I think one trade off is that the kid doesn't know he just has so many things vying for his attention. There's too many things to learn, so he has to be selective and focus, stay focused, rather than
Yeah.
um, yeah.
You kind of
I
need to
guess it's.
reduce the noise for them sometimes, I think. Like, turn off the
I would
TV,
agree.
hide it, throw the remote away. Like, you need to do multiple things, I guess, to like ensure that your kid is like starved for information like you were when you grew up, because they will never have a problem of not having enough input.
Yeah, and I don't think that this whole multitasking thing that a lot of people do, that everyone seems to do, is that great because I got mocked initially because I printed out the code and I would just sit there offline in a library reading the code with the pencil just because it's a great way to focus because there's so many distractions on your computer. And I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah.
great. I think it's a good strategy.
Yeah, whatever works for you, right? So, like if I sit in a library, I know I need to be silent. I need to read what I have in front of me. I don't need to do anything else. I can turn off the phone. Like I don't do that, but I totally understand why it worked for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess
I
it depends what
guess,
you're looking at too. If you're pattern matching, then you're gonna fly all over the place. Look at the VS Code, regex, stuff like that. But if you're really digging deep, sometimes you got to go offline.
yeah, and it's also like a good way to like get that graph in your head, right? So because like eventually you're gonna get tired of switching pages, and you're gonna figure out a way in your own head to like retain the information.
Yeah. When you look at a protocol, do you have a complete understanding of it before you think you can really find bugs?
No. Basically, I just open up the code in an editor, and then I try to go sources and things.
Hmm.
Basically, what's the input? What do I define to be the output? The output should be like aligned with invariants, right? So if I say I want to, I don't know, liquidate somebody, I try to see what inputs like touch the liquidation invariant, and then I'm good to go. Like I try to don't read comments. Uh, Comments are always liars. Like there's no point of them. Either the code is readable or it's not. I'm not shitting on Maker again here.
I
I
know
don't
I
know.
know Daniel VF, I think his tag is he shared some was it a plugin or a command where he could just remove all of the comments in VS Code just immediately. And
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool idea.
I guess like depends on where you are in your journey, right? So if you like have trouble understanding code when you come into a new code base, read the comments, do whatever works for you. But at a certain point, I think it's like then if you read the comments to comprehend the project afterwards, you need to ask yourself, did the comments lie to me? Like, is the code actually doing what the comments are saying?
Right. Right. No, definitely. Hmm.
Yeah. So like be as quick about it as you can. Get into the code, look at the code. That's the only thing that ever worked for me.
And do you say, like, say it's a any protocol, do you immediately say, all right, external functions, I'm just going to look at high touch functions where there's mutability, or do you say there's could be bugs in a view function that lead to a different function? Do you just look at everything, or do you specifically target like what everyone else would look at?
It really depends. Like, what my daughter nice to me in the morning. It's like I really do whatever floats my boat. Like most likely it depends on, do I think I know the field? Like, is it a landing protocol? Do I have like a good concept of what landing protocols need to do? And if I do, like I might be bolder and like go into stuff I like. If you, how can I put this best? Like there was a time when Uniswap v2, like there were a bunch of derivative contracts on multiple chains, and it was almost weekly. There's a new Uniswap v2 like swap contract, and after a while, I just knew. I checked the fees because there were so many bugs with fees, and like why would I look at anything else? It's easy to compare to other things. You can just diff the two files against each other. Something like that sometimes works. But if it's like an actually new product or a new idea, some new niche project, like it's okay to just like be stupid about it. Just check all the inputs first, then think about what could invariants actually be, and then think, can I actually manipulate the inputs to get to the invariants and break them?
Hmm. Yeah, I think it depends is really really what happens. Yeah, how do you feel? Like, what's your vibe on this project? The complexity, yeah, you name it. I think my
Yeah,
approach changes no matter what I look at.
I think it should evolve, right? So yeah, like you grow, your knowledge grows. Whatever works for you should change. Like there shouldn't be some rigid construct. Like I have a list and I go through it every point, every time, for every project, for every blockchain. Like that's, in my opinion, that's like suboptimal.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely.
But
Let
that
me
being said, like
go ahead.
I'm still trying to like like put myself in the boots of younger people, right? So if I were new, yeah, if you follow a recipe, why don't you do it? Like you can ask yourself afterwards if the recipe was serving you or not, and then adjust and go from there.
Yeah, and you don't know that unless you have experience doing it and you've seen
Yeah,
results
yeah.
or no results from it.
You need to put the time in. Like if you imagine yourself being a book character, you have to constantly ask yourself, is like this ridiculous? What, like, why would the character, the main character, find the big bug, but never have looked at code before? So just look at the code, man.
That's a good one. It's true. I get guys messaging me saying, "How do I get started? I'm doing this," and I say, "Just honestly, I say how I started. I read a bunch of audit reports. I read a bunch, and then I'd go look at code, and I'd try to find those bugs that I saw the auditors find. And I thought that was a good combo. Just keep reading audit reports. You kind of see the patterns. You get used to seeing all the patterns, and then you start reading them, and then eventually, like you say, you just put the time in, and then becomes like muscle memory."
Yeah, yeah. That being said, I know nothing. So why should you ever trust me about this?
I want to ask you a couple questions from so there's a podcast discussion channel on the Discord, and this guy Pseudo TX wanted to ask you a couple things. Are you ready?
No, never.
Very easy
But shoot
questions. Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. He just says, have you ever found a bug that made you think, how did this even get past an audit? What was that like?
Yeah. That was awesome. Because so much responsibility got handed to me. Basically, I was interested in how some balancer function worked. Like we didn't talk about it, but like I came to this from like I did MEV before I did auditing, and I was basically just checking out markets and how they interact with each other. And I was basically printing out all the call data for multiple ETH blocks and then just grabbing for signatures and seeing like, can you come up with commonalities? And there was like one balancer extension that's call data looked completely different to all the other things because there were like target keywords in there. Like there were addresses in there that shouldn't have been in there and stuff like that. And it was easy to see just from the call data, this is a bug. This can't be anything but a bug. Like I used to do some tracing, and like you can also like change the Revim code sometimes, and like say was this catch chucked, and then like I could from the call data and from the extra debug output tell like nobody checked this call data, and it's basically user supplyable. And then I like tried to actually identify the project, which like it was hard. Like you just have a contract address. The ether scan didn't tag it, so I had to figure out how like who deployed the vulnerable code. Then I like got in touch with them and then figured out it was audited by some firm
Name
I'm
and
not going to
shame.
mention. Nah. It's the one you think about, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
back at that time, I didn't know about their like reputation. I was just happy I found a bug.
Do you?
Uh,
I was going to say, like, it's kind of pointless to name and shame any audit shop because independent auditors, I think,
oh shit.
what is that?
Well, either the Russians are invading or they're just testing stuff.
See, yeah, this is that audit firm. They're coming in hot. I'd
I
say
don't know.
honestly, I don't like to name and shame. I like to do a humble flex on if an auditor misses a bug because everyone misses a bug, right? But
Yeah,
only if
yeah.
they're
I've missed bugs.
yeah, it happens, man. That's why you
Yeah,
got to get multiple audits. The best flex is when you see 3 audits and then you find something that none of them got.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, those are good.
yeah.
Those are
That's
always
good.
good.
But I take the W, right? So I don't care who it was audited by, how many people audited. I just care somebody else other than the devs looked at it and didn't see the bug. So that's the win for me. I have my fun. Like I didn't even get paid on that bug. They basically paid me in their own shitcoin, which like was never worth anything. But I was just happy to finding the bug, right? I mentioned like money is fine, I like it, but like I'm I'm hunting because I like the feeling, not the money. Like you have to be clear on your priorities when you do this.
That's a very good point because you may not make any money. Oh shit, they're still coming in. Calm down.
You
All
also
right.
like you moved to Europe, right?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Oh, so sorry. He's got question number 2. All right, last question here. Have you ever collaborated with another hunter on a find? How did that change your approach, if so?
Never did so. I
Lone
likely
Ranger.
don't think I'm compatible. Like I'm blessed with autism. I don't think I have somebody else like whose autism is compatible. I tried really hard. At one point, I tried like getting an apprentice. Like I sifted through all the messages in my DMs and like basically try to find somebody who I could like value align, right? So because like if I tell somebody a bug, they could submit that stuff. So I tried to like figure that out, like were they honest, were they intelligent, did they have drive? Like I figured out like, it never came to anything. Like I don't want to shit on people, but like I tried and failed hard. So I don't do that, unfortunately. I imagine it's awesome if you have somebody who you jive with, right? So you have the two Austrian guys on. Like I'm jealous. Like that's possibly loads of fun having another person like who you can bounce ideas off.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't think they were Austrian. I think they I think they were in the Austrian Alps, but I think they were from somewhere else. They
Sorry,
could be
guys.
anybody. Who knows? Now I told him, I said, now you're Austrian, no matter what.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Like maybe I heard some Bratwurst accent. I'm not sure.
What's your accent? I'm gonna German or Austrian?
Yeah, I'm German.
German. Okay.
Hmm.
That's
Usually the Austrians can understand us, but like we like fail to understand them sometimes. Like I had mixed reactions at the slopes.
everyone who's not from that region. Just we bundle you all as just either German or Austrians.
Yeah, no comment from my side. On these things, I have to keep my mouth shut.
No, that's probably for the best. But I, to your point with getting an intern, I tried the same thing, and I tried it one time, and it just failed miserably. I won't name the guy because I guess he tried, but I tried to pull him in to help collaborate on something so I could put his name on the bug report. I was trying to have him. It was like a learning experience, and he wasn't able to do it, and it was complicated to be honest. But it didn't work. I think if I were to partner, I would partner with somebody who I know has a rep, I know is legit, like someone that's been on this podcast. I could probably partner up on a bug, but I'm like you. I just go solo, I guess, so far.
Yeah. I think Immunefi is doing this island, and I like. Let me preface this by I have no idea what it is, but I see a bunch of people fighting on the same team. I'm not sure if that like helps people work with each other.
I don't know what it is. I saw it posted. Isn't it just you just find a bug and then they keep you on like during that period?
I have no idea. I
I don't,
just
I
saw a
don't know
bunch of
either.
people talking with each other, playing team games. Like imagine your squad. Like you divide a group of people into two, like team blue, team red. One team gets points whenever one of the researchers submits a bug. The other team gets points when the other team submits. Like maybe there's like camaraderie and people cheering for the bugs. I'm not sure. Like I would need to be incentivized. Like I would have to kind of care about my team winning. Then I could maybe collaborate with people I like usually wouldn't. I'm not sure.
I try to maximize my free time. So if I don't see any upside to doing it, I already have enough things consuming my time. If that's like some extra thing that doesn't lead to anything, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. But at the same time, like if you're younger,
Oh yeah, you got all the time in the world.
yes, exactly. Like we probably optimize for time. I'm not sure how open you are about your private life, but like once you have kids, time is the only valuable resource that you ever have, and you don't give that away. But at the same time, like if you're young and don't have to care about anything, like you can hunt 7 days straight. I would do that shit. Like why not? You could learn
Yeah,
something.
absolutely. I mean, we have, the older guys and younger guys, we have different mindsets, right? The young guys want a few things. They want a stack of cash in their pockets. They want to be jacked, and they want girls, and they want all the things that go with it. The fast life, fast cars, travel, luxurious, all these things. That's what you want in your youth. When you get married, you start getting older, you want different things, especially when you have kids. You want financial security, you want control of your own time, and you want time to spend with your family, enjoying your life. But you're
Yeah.
you're less focused on Lambos and all that material shit. And you should always stay ripped and jacked, by the way. But everything
Oh
else
yeah.
kind of takes second
That's kind of
fiddle,
like the alpha drop. Like if your body ain't healthy, you can't hunt.
Oh my God, is that true? I know.
Like I'm fighting with back pain all the time. Like that shit sucks. Like
Yeah.
establish a routine that you follow. You don't give a fuck if you like. Last night you sort of a bug idea. You get the time in the gym in first, and then you hunt. Like take care of your body, and that will take care of the bugs finding.
100% correct.
Yeah.
I hope young guys take heed of this. You see that meme with why does my back hurt? It's like a prawn, curled up on the computer chair in front of the computer. And that's a lot of guys, man. Get out there, jack some weights, do some calisthenics, run, do something. And the flip side is it helps you find bugs. Just to get outside, run around will fire off all these synapses in your brain, and you'll just start connecting the dots.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Most definitely. Like, do something. Like, go rowing, take a long jog, something like this. Like where you can tune out your mind and just think about the project while you do some stuff that's training up your body. That works
And
for me.
it's a natural endorphin release, and you also get a natural dopamine hit because people sit at the computer all day and they want to pound sodas, coffees, monsters, whatever, but that all has your limits. And then you head to cocaine, you hit all these different drugs trying to get the same high. When the real high is just go outside, run around, and you can never beat that. And it's good to just think about that sometimes. Try to tone it down, dial back for a couple of days, whatever you're doing, and just go totally natural, go run, just get the body's natural response re-triggered, and it kind of resets you and makes you feel a lot better.
Ah, that's a good alpha drop also. Like,
It's fucking physical alpha drops.
yeah, why not? Like, there's a range to this, right? So there's either I tell you what exactly a bug is, and you can go submit it, or like you can go like move away from it in dimensionality. And then it's stuff like this. You have to keep your body healthy to find a bug. Should we talk about
Yeah.
more concrete alpha drops?
Sure. I actually just thought of an alpha drop because I did not have one prepared. And I'm
Yeah,
actually
go.
doing it right now and seeing how it works. All right, but this sounds good. So go to, and if you find a bug, give me a hat tip, right? So go to the Solidity compiler bugs list on Solidity's website. And some of these things are very complicated. They're very rare edge cases. And I'm doing this right now. So I'll interfere with any bugs I may find, but I probably find zero, like most bug hunting. But select everything, throw it in an LLM, and say, "Hey, generate a regex for finding this bug," and it'll pump out a regex, and you could search through all your code libraries, even on CodeSloth, you make it an RE2 regex, and maybe you'll find something. Maybe there's a bug out there, some obscure thing that triggers this Solidity compiler version bug. uh, I'm going to say it's a 1 in 1,000, maybe 1 in 10,000 shot, but could be good alpha.
Yeah, why not? Like, and now there's like the derivative of this. You could also like, I'm thinking you probably do this on Ethereum, I guess. or where would you do it?
I mean, any EVM compatible chain, yeah.
And is Coleslaw like hooked in with that, or like?
You don't use Code Slaw?
Mm-mm.
Code Slaw?
No,
It's
no,
pretty
no.
good for checking the chain. So they have, I think, 6 or 7 chains on there, and it just lets you do a normal text search, or you can also do RE2 regex, so limited regex, and
Mm.
it's cool, man. I mean, it doesn't index every single contract, but whatever the algorithm this guy's using is pretty good. It hits a lot of the popular contracts, and it lets you just search them.
Do you actually code yourself?
I used to. I have a side project. I'm making a DeFi protocol, but
Ooh.
I'm not I'm not putting as much time into it as I need to. So it's a side project right now. But I'm
Yeah.
using Cursor to help me do that, which is pretty cool playing with that.
Okay. Yeah. I'm old school. This is like old guy screaming at clouds. I'm not sure how helpful that is for younger people. But I already mentioned like the print out the blocks, like print out the call data, print out the subcalls, like put it all into a big text file, and then write some Python. Like you can do the same thing. And if you like think about the dimensionality of what you can reach by Code's law, and if there's anything you can't do on there, maybe like figure out how you could do it in Python yourself, and that's alpha also maybe. I'm not sure. Like for me, that kind of stuff works usually. Like you have to think about the meta, like what's easily accessible, what's hard to reach, and sometimes you have to say, well, I want a quick and easy win, and you use what exists already in the world. And sometimes, like if there's anything you can't do on Code's law, but could do with Python yourself, maybe it's worth it to do that. I'm not sure.
And are you just implying that just searching, just connecting to an RPC through Python and then conducting queries that way?
Uh, yeah, yeah, basically.
Yeah.
The I had my own server. There were like RPC calls I could do to get the whole blocks. Then I could get like all the transactions, like, and then it's like a little bit of magic, like printing out all the stuff. It's not hard. But it works. It works. Like this one bug that was audited, and the guys who paid me in Shitcoin, like this bug, I found it kind of like that. Right? I was trying to write something I didn't know that somebody else had like already programmed the solution for this. Probably would have saved me a lot of time, but also I learned internals that way a bit. Maybe, who knows?
No, that's a good tip. I think use whatever tool is necessary. I was suggesting CodeSlaw for say you have a vulnerable function that you found some pattern in and you want to search deployed contracts. Just quickly throw it in CodeSlaw, because if you queried the chain through an RPC through Python, you would have to. I mean, you'd have to have a database of verified contracts to be able to do that search, right?
Um, we
Like if
can
I wanted
just.
to do a text search for not a function name, but say just a string of text within a contract.
Yeah. So you're talking about like the contract code itself, right? And I was just talking about the call data, right? So the EOA sends a transaction, and that kind of triggers sub transactions after that. And
Mm-hmm.
those like just the call data, like from whom, like who's the caller, to what's the contract you're calling, what's the call data, what's the gas supplied, what's the Ethereum value supplied, like put it
Mm-hmm.
all into a big CSV, like just a text file with hex data in it, and then you search for the signatures you care for, right? So sometimes you can search for transfer froms, and then you can see like, do I find a transfer from in a sub call, and then in the parent call, do I see that's like kind of this is a free argument that anybody could supply, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it works.
Yeah. No. So many different methods of doing that. I think that's a great idea. Do you use Glider at all? Have you used their their query tool?
Uh,
Or have you heard of it?
No, no. I think you guys mentioned it, right? But I haven't tried it, so I don't want to talk
I
about
mean,
it.
it makes me just think of what you're doing. It's just they've beautified it a bit and made it a bit more specific to looking through. Just where you can customize it so you could look through this function, this subcall. It's very structured. Whereas you could do the same thing, the way you're doing. It's just this is kind of a different interface, a little more user friendly, probably.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
whatever
And
works.
user friendly is good, right? If you can't do anything on your own, use the user friendly one. And if you want to figure out how the stuff works, like sometimes it's good to know like everything's a tool, and you need to know if your tool is like the best thing at the job or not. Like I don't want to. Like, I actually don't know those tools, so this is not me shitting on this, but if you find out that there's something that you cannot do with that tool, that might be something like if you implement it yourself, nobody else has looked at because it was so easy to look at the other stuff. Sometimes you have to find your niche, right?
That's right. I picture your computer in front of you right now. You have a Lynx browser open, and you're not many know
Stop
that, right?
doxing me, man.
No, it's whatever works, man. I got this Mac, and I was running Linux for so long, and I feel guilty. I feel like a normal user just using a Mac because everything just works. Like I feel it's just I hate it sometimes. I just want to fire up some Linux and just have immediate Wi-Fi problems and all the displays. I gotta have my Linux problems.
Mm. To be completely honest, like I tried getting on this show with my MacBook, but I couldn't get the microphone to work. Like I couldn't get the microphone pickup. Like let's table this. But basically, I had it easier not using my MacBooks. This is where the industry is going. Tim Apple is lacking.
And then you fired up Debian and then everything worked. I doubt it.
Yeah, it did. It's wild.
Hey, let's talk about this. We were talking on X about this. Is what dealing with contests, right? I think I posted something POC or not to POC. What was this thread on? And we were
Yeah,
going to
I
talk
think
about it,
Immunefi was saying they don't require a POC anymore.
right? And I said I was just thinking, well, why not? I mean, is there low participation in these contests? Why else would you say fuck a POC? What was your take? You had some backstory. Whatever you want to share, go ahead.
Yeah, well, man,
You
like
don't have any bosses, so just share whatever you want.
that's kind of true. But at the same time, like I try to be constructive while ranting. So let's go. Um, I think they changed the POC guidelines because one of the one of the contest project. I'm not sure, like the party that's basically supplying the code and wants to have it audited. Like they were being very like let's say defensive about their code. Like it was regular fighting within the comment section. Like you were making good arguments. The project was shutting him down, which is fine, I guess. And then at a certain point, like I'm like lifting my hands and just saying, Immunefi, please, like I've given enough arguments for why I think this is a real bug. I don't care how much text they write back. Please come save me, right? And I think there might be like an incentive problem at contest providers. I'm not sure, like
Well,
because
yeah,
yeah. So
of
you
course.
also don't have a boss, right? You're also like beholden
I
to no
have no
one.
boss. No,
Yeah,
I
all
don't even
right.
have any advertisers.
Yeah, that's good, baby, right? So we can talk about stuff, and I think that like it's just a suspicion of mine. I can't like supply any. I don't have evidence for this, but I kind of feel like some contest providers are more involved in the judging than others, right? And there's like multiple reasons for it, right? So if the project gives the money to the contest and contest provider, let's say Immunefi, Cantina, whatever, and like they then themselves can decide what's a bug and what's not. Like that's going to give you totally different outcomes compared to the project themselves keeps the money and then gives it to the researchers, because like in that case the platform that you're hunting on like is not really involved in the judging anymore, right? They're just providing a platform where two parties can meet, and they're trying to be in the middle because that's where they get their money. And but like they don't like they don't have to ensure a good judgment, right? So like, and also they can't force a project legally to pay out for stuff that the project doesn't want to pay for. But then that's like completely different experiences for hunters. And I think this latest POC not needed anymore like was largely related to some of their latest boosts being like too much fighting in the comments, and they like either like weren't enabled or didn't feel responsible enough to step in and say, no, I'm like the trusted third party here. I decide if this is a critical or if it's not. And like when I made the judgment call, like the project paid out. And like one of your previous guests is still fighting in the Discord just for the project to respond to him. So it's wild.
Oh my god. I think I get your point. I think the point of the POC initially was because I don't know if you've judged. I've judged one contest, and there's just so many submissions, and that was before LLMs. So
Yeah.
now, my God, I mean, if you don't even need a POC, you could throw anything into any LLM, and it's going to give you what looks to be a legit kind of gripe. So you really have to go through and filter all of those they look legit. So that would take just so much time to screen through everything. So I don't know how well thought out that
I
is.
would
I like the idea
I
of
would go
posting
the
up.
other way. I would
Which
like
way?
go completely the other way. I, as a platform, provide like a framework uh, against which you can fire transactions. Let's say like it's a like EVM based project. You can just sign transactions. We execute them, and if like you can move funds, then it's a crypt. And all the hunters can provide like a single transaction.
Mm-hmm.
Done. Like, and either you have moved the funds or you haven't. Like, we don't need to talk about it if you have, and we don't need to talk about it if you didn't. Like, either there's a way for you to steal the funds or there's not. I don't think there's like talking about it much like changed anything. Like especially if you like take into considerations all the points you raised earlier with LLMs, right? So there might be a response that sounds very logical, but unless you ran the code, you don't know if there's a bug or not.
That would apply in some scenarios, but all right. So I'll give you an example. I'm doing a contest for once, and
Which
it's
one?
not something I do. I'm on what is it? Eigenlayer on Cantina,
What's
and
it?
so I'm
2.5 million?
yeah, big number.
Yeah.
And well,
Isn't it
I
awesome
want
that they're putting up these kind of monies?
I wanted to look at it because I'd looked at Eigenlayer before, and I was like, okay, so I'm going
Okay.
to check it out. And so I found a couple findings, and I submitted it. All right, I found three right so far, and one was invalid. I missed something. Okay, cool. Second one is I found one, and then the guy says, "Hey, this is expected behavior," and he points me to one of the markdown files on the contract. And I read through. I'm like, wait a minute, this, it's still I can invalidate these invariants that are posted on this other file that you gave. So I'm like, the invariants would feed into formal verification. So
Mm,
wouldn't it's like code comments really don't mean shit. But if you're giving us invariants to invalidate, like that holds weight. That's a source of truth, not this.
yes.
And
Otherwise,
so
what's
so
the point
now
of giving them to
right.
us?
So now what am I doing? So I'm having this back and forth. I don't know how this gets resolved, but in my mind, every finding you should put a bond up. You should have to put some bond up. I don't care what it is, 25
But
bucks,
who
10
burns the
bucks,
bond?
something.
Who's
I
able
don't
to burn
fuck
the bond?
whatever. I don't know. Figure it out. But there has to be some sort of like limiting factor rather than just anyone can submit everything. There should be just something. Just put anything up so you got some skin in the game.
Yeah, It makes sense, but I feel like the party in the middle is responsible for this. They have to be like they should be able to burn the bond or enforce the behavior. Otherwise, it's too close to an audit, right? So contest shouldn't fill the gap of an audit, right? Like in an audit, the project can also give feedback, like essentially like if you push comes to shove, they could also say we didn't ever order this audit, right? So they can also like disavow the report. And like back when I was hunting on Code Arena, I liked that the judging was like they were putting themselves in the middle and they were saying this is a bug, this isn't done.
Yeah. They had the
Maybe
judges,
that's the
right?
good old days. I'm not sure. I haven't been hunting on there for a while, but like back then, that felt kind of easier because I knew whenever I found a bug, I could just submit it.
Yeah. Well, imagine this, right? Imagine this eigenlayer thing, right? Where they have some structure of okay, it's 2.5 mil, but it only gets unlocked if there's this high or something like that. So imagine these guys, they're like, hey, look how much money we're kicking out the door if we confirm one high bug. Like imagine that pressure on the team. Yeah, we committed to it, but really it's kind of just to bring guys in like Euler,
Yeah,
and no one wants to pay shit out, competition or not. They don't want to pay it out. Money's money.
yeah, sure, sure. Kick the hunters. For me, like there's a complete value chain, and this could be ranty. If we go onto this tangent, like this will be ranty, but I don't care. So I think there are people, like a bunch of people having a bunch of incentives, and one of the few aligned people in the whole ecosystem is the bug bounty hunter. If I go to a project and say this is a bug, and somebody else like says this is really a bug, you didn't lie, they should pay out. And like I also don't like the ceiling, like 10% of TVL uh, upwards to a maximum of blah. That doesn't really make sense to me. Because if the Blackhat would have found this, they would also be offering the 10% without an upper limit. And to
Mm-hmm.
me, uh, like trying to put myself into the, I'm not sure, if you like zoom out and see this from an ecosystem perspective, you can't reward one set of actors like more than another, and that doesn't make sense, right? And the bug bounty hunters are the only ones who actually like whenever they have a piece of info and it's valid, like that's actually valuable, right? So it's not like you pay an audit and you don't know how many findings you get back. You don't know if you caught all of them. But when a bug bounty hunter gives you a crit, you know your project would have died. So and I think that
Mm-hmm.
should be rewarded. And if you don't like find a way to do that as an ecosystem, if you don't reward the only really aligned uh, like potentially bad parties, that's going to bite you in the ass later on.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And it's such a hard thing for a protocol to stomach when it happens because you're the protocol. You have 100 mil TVL. That's not yours. That's people's, your users' funds that they've deposited with you. Okay, it all gets drained, and now you're begging the black hat, and you're just going to offer, okay, hey, just get, yeah, we'll basically make an agreement without the user's permission to say, yeah, keep 10%, give us the rest back because we don't have any options. But then if I come to you and say, hey, look, I have an exploit, you're like, well, all we can offer is this. I mean, I get it. I totally get it. But I also get your point.
Yeah, so from my perspective, there might be some things that we can do to change the incentives in the ecosystem, right? So if you imagine there would be like a meta protocol where whenever you LP into whatever, you could also say, I'm willing to pay 10% to an honest bug bounty hunter. And kind of have this meta protocol at the gate. So whenever somebody wants to withdraw, it has to go through this. And they could basically ensure that I, as an honest bug bounty hunter, I hack the contract, I transfer all the funds to the meta protocol, and then withdrawing could like the people who pre-committed themselves to withdraw like 10% less. They could get their funds and the other stuff. I'm not sure if they should be burned. I'm not like that would certainly not be legal. But I would like to have kind of the signaling function where people say, I supply my money and I care about security so and so much. And I think if you do that long enough, like you can, as an LP, decide: do I want to join other people who never are going to pay out honest actors? Um, and like if you join that pool, you open yourself up to the bigger likelihood of black hats like exploiting you, because white hats are not going to look at your code. Because why would they? Just let's say 5% of the other LPs said I'm willing to put out 10%. So like there's no incentive for white hat to look at it, and this way maybe we could make things more transparent. Like I think we can let markets decide this. Does it
I
make
like that
sense?
idea. Have you heard of Nexus Mutual?
Insurance protocol, right?
Yeah.
Mm. Did it work?
They're still around and people still use them. I thought it blew up during the DeFi summer days and then went away, but it's still there. People still use it. And I was just thinking, all right, so in the meat space, right? You have, at least in the US of A, you have a bank that has its deposits insured by the federal government. And so the user, they don't care about bank A, bank B, C. It's all the same because they're all chartered and insured. They don't care about losses up to whatever X amount of insurance.
Yeah, and you
But
guys should
in the
figure out what the X amount of insurance is. Otherwise, like Silicon Valley Bank happens, right?
yeah, I mean, 90% of depositors don't care because their deposits are under whatever the limit is, 250 or whatever it is nowadays.
Not our
But
listeners in the future.
yeah, but I'm saying on DeFi, we have this different kind, and I don't think that incentive structure is good because it's. I don't think the government should back. That's a different conversation. Anyway,
Yeah.
in DeFi, we say, all right, we're going to go to Aave, and you have a position there, and I think you can buy Nexus Mutual coverage against that protocol being hacked. So you take out your own personal coverage for it, but it's not like protocols are out there buying Nexus Mutual insurance for their protocols so the users don't have to. I think that was their intention, but I don't think that's been a big driver of usage in that, in the DeFi insurance space.
Yeah, so here's a startup idea I'm going to give away to somebody who actually wants to do this, because I talked to a bunch of people in the industry, like, and I couldn't be bothered to actually implement. But the once you have a done audits or a contest, there should be like something that auditors can put up as a bond, like basically saying I'm this and this percent sure
Yeah,
that
I agree.
this protocol is safe, right? And afterwards, users could look at the pricing and say, wow, 99% of people who looked at this code are pretty sure there's not going to be a bug in this. And right, and they could take like they could buy the counter position, they would have insurance, they would actually be informed by the actors of the system, and we could actually also see, like, do users actually care about buying insurance? Because, like, in my mind, that's still an open point. Like, do they just care about the casino, or do they actually care about protecting their funds? And like, both views are completely okay. I like just to make them open and transparent, and then you can like create markets around those, and everybody can like profit, right? So if I care about the security, the insurance is cheaper, is going to be cheaper for me, right? And so we have automatically an adjusting price point for people. Like if I supply value into a project where 99% of the auditors are saying there's no bug, and nobody else of the other LPs cares about buying the insurance, it's going to be infinitely cheaper for me to buy the insurance. And on the other hand, if like there are a bunch of LPs and they all want to buy insurance and there's just 99%, maybe it makes sense to get some more views on this. So it's like 99.9% of auditors said this is fine. And I think there's a market in there, and I think we could use those concepts to adjust. Let markets adjust the safety of the ecosystem.
I've heard this idea, at least a piece of it before. I don't know if someone tried to build it, but I think it's a great idea. Definitely. We just need somebody to go build it. It's not going to be me.
Yeah, possibly me neither. I
Somebody get out there. There's some money to be made.
Yeah, I wish I will with names, because I also talked with two guys who were doing this before, and like nobody really cared much. I also tried talking to a VC. He was saying he would like to launch this with projects, but also like it's not obvious to me that spending my time on this is more like preferential to just hunting
It
or
doesn't
doing all
sound
the
as
other
fun.
stuff I like in life.
Yeah. Yeah. Leave it to someone else.
Yeah, so there's a project idea for you if you're young and hungry. I think, like, from a game theory perspective, it sounds to me like using markets to adjust our things should be valuable. Like to me, this is like the stuff the Ethereum Foundation should actually be thinking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. At least they have a Twitter account now. All right, Mr. Riproprip, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And we will see you
Yeah.
all on the blockchain.